It is 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, so that means it's time for another Pugs and Parker proudly present Pillow Talk on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. We do this stream every night, Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock, and, it's just whatever it is. We talk about all kinds of stuff. Let me see. Hold on. Let me get situated. This is the second of two streams that I, Pugs Moran, do every day. I do the high noon stream. You can catch that at noon every day. That's just me. It's topics. It's current events. It's whatever it is that's happening in the day. It's very quick. It's fast paced. I think it's probably pretty informative. You might enjoy it. Come join us every day at noon, Monday through Friday, and then every Monday through Thursday evening at 9 we do this. It's me and Parker. Pugs and Parker. There he is. There's Parker.
Hey, how you doing? Just warming up over here.
Hey, I got a quick little thought experiment for you before we go anywhere.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
Like a second ago, I flicked. So, hold on, let me move this. So I had a beetle land on my arm. I'm trying to show like this. So I had a beetle. Like, I don't know what it was. It was a winged creature. Okay.
It's a bug. It's just a bug.
It's just a bug. And it landed on my arm. And I just thoughtlessly went like this. And just flicked him off. And dude, I caught him broadside. He caught full me and he went flying across the room so far that he hit the wall and then just slid down the wall, went flap, right into the wall. And I thought, here's the thought experiment. Imagine that happening to you right now. Like this thing was probably 5 times, my thumb was probably 5 times, or my flicking finger 5 times the size of this thing. So let's say I'm 6 foot tall, let's say 30 foot, like right now, out of the sky comes a 30-foot multi-ton meat sack. And it just catches you broadside and flips you across the room into a wall at full speed. How much damage are you sustaining? Broken ribs for sure.
All right, you're thinking about it wrong. You got to think about this in ratios. You're about 6 feet tall, so you're about 72 inches tall, and that bug is about an inch tall. So you are 72 times its height. So that would be if you are facing off against something that's about 500 feet tall, about the size of a 5-story building.
Yeah. Well, it's just a finger, but yeah. So it's proportionate though to those overall dimensions.
I'm sorry, 50-story building.
50-story.
Yes, it would be like if that big building downtown that kind of looks like a slide, what I'm talking about, and Mountain Place or whatever it's called. If that thing, its arm came out and flicked you, that's the proportions we're talking.
James, I did it without a care in the world. I didn't even think about it. I was just like, no big deal. But then I thought, oh my God, what did that dude just go through? That little bug just went through something that I'm sure I'm the first human that's ever flicked them. I mean, it's not like.
Right. But it's probably only going to live 40 days or whatever. It's not long for this world. You might be the only human it ever comes across. But I also like to imagine this bug is just living its best bug life, and you made him late for dinner or whatever, and now he's got to explain to his bug wife, where have you been? Some dude flicked me. Some giant thing the size of the building downtown just flicked me.
Look, dude, if he survived and made it back to his family, more power to him, because that's the entire conversation I'm having with you right now. I don't know how you walk away from something like that.
Oh, come on,
I know that I as a human being wouldn't.
Well, one of the big disadvantages we have in being a human being is that we have an endoskeleton and not an exoskeleton, because the exoskeleton can take so much more, because if you want to talk about weight ratios of what this guy just survived, it'd be like, well, what if you just got hit with a bus and bounced off and kept walking? That's sort of the level of impact that this guy just sustained and keeps on going. And it's the exoskeleton that does that.
Maybe we ought to have more respect for the bugs in our world. Maybe that's what you're getting at. Maybe there are some things to admire about a bug's life. James, How are you? How was your day?
No, bugs suck, but this is good lessons to learn for when we build ourselves the Iron Man suit.
All right, very good.
My day's good. I don't know. I guess I'm doing good. I don't know. Kids piss me off. Have you ever noticed how kids just my grandmother used to say you'd lose your ass if it wasn't attached.
Yeah.
But man, kids are so bad. I just remember you told this story 10 years ago when your kid was 4 years old or whatever, and you're like, "Hey, get a bag together. You're gonna spend the night at your grandma's house." And so when it was time to leave, he had a bag with army men and a couple of Hot Wheels in it. fruit roll up. No toothbrush, no clothes, no pajamas, no clothes for tomorrow, no underwear. No.
No, just the immediate. There was some candy was put in there. He made sure he had his candy. Made sure he had his Buzz Lightyear doll. He made sure he had his blanket.
They can't think this far in front of the future. It's just all a haze. It doesn't even exist. It's like
and it's also they're not thinking about things that they depend on, because the things they depend on, like clothing and food, for all those things are just they take them for granted as a child should. Yeah, a child. That's the whole point of being a child. You can take those things for granted. So when it comes time to having them plan for their immediate future, they have no clue, especially if they're younger than, say, 10. They have no idea what they're going to need.
Now, as an adult, hopefully you've gotten better at keeping up, with your essentials and your basics and, your ass better than that. But there's going to be that weird transition where you go from being a kid who just takes everything for granted to where you just have to learn that you got to start keeping up with stuff. And you're going to learn a lot of this the hard way. And so I'm watching like my kid do that. And so it kind of upsets me. It kind of is like, nah, this is him just learning the lesson.
Like, what did he do? Do you have an example? Like, what did he?
Yeah,
he shit his underwear, and then didn't have any underwear. I don't know, what did he do?
No, yesterday was his first tennis match. He plays tennis now on the middle school tennis team, and so they were going to go. And when it was time to get ready for school, we're like, "Hey, don't you have to wear like your tennis shirt? You have a tennis match after school." And he's like, "I don't know." We're like, well, we're pretty sure that was in the paperwork. I went to the meeting and I remember a tennis shirt.
Pretty sure there's a uniform of sorts.
Like, I don't have a tennis shirt. I'm like, they gave you a tennis shirt. And my wife remembers things. She's like, he never brought a tennis shirt home. I'm like, all right. So I guess it's at school. Go through all your drawers, go through your backpack, go through everything before we leave. So he goes through everything. It's not here. Hope it's at school, MFer.
Because your kid's the idiot that's out of uniform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's my kid's inside the uniform. So he gets to school and he's like, "Look, man, it's my coach doesn't have it. It's not in my locker. I don't have it. You're gonna have to find it at home and bring it to me." So I go through everything. I go through the laundry. I go through his brother's clothes. I go through the winter clothes. I don't find it. So I say, "Will this shirt work?" And I text him a picture of just a regular old red shirt that has the school logo on it, just doesn't say tennis.
Right.
And that'll work. So I bring it up there. But the coach was nice enough that when I picked him up from the tennis match last night, he was wearing his school name and then tennis. He was wearing an actual official shirt. I was like, "Oh, where'd you get that?" He's like, "Coach let me borrow this, but I have to give it back." There was some kid that couldn't go.
So what do you guys got to do? You got to buy a new tennis shirt, or did he never get issued one, or was he issued one and he just lost it because he was, being an irresponsible kid?
Well, the thing is now that this is all done and we go back and we go over the tape here, we're like, dude, you've got to start keeping up with stuff. You didn't even know that you were supposed to be wearing the shirt. You didn't know that if you had gotten the shirt, much less where it was. And you were just going to walk up to your first tennis match like, "Oh, I didn't know there was clothing." We told you there was clothing. You're going to have to start keeping up with this. And Mom went online and bought another tennis shirt. So whenever that comes in, this will all be resolved. But you got to give that back to Coach. And when he's getting ready for bed, he's going through his backpack and he finds the tennis shirt,
the original one.
Yeah. And, oh God, oh my God, that makes me just want to find a cliff and just drive my car off here, like Thelma and Louise. Just me and my wife. We're just gonna hold hands
with him strapped to the roof, though. You know what? He doesn't get away with this.
No. Let the world burn in our background. We'll just leave the mess behind, and we're just gonna grab hands one day. We tried being parents. We had a bunch of kids, just didn't work out. Can't take it. Just can't take it anymore.
They can't keep track of a polo shirt.
And this guy gets the highest scores on the standardized testing, and he can play Bach on piano, but he can't keep up with his ass.
Yeah,
it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah. My kid gets straight A's and he's a standout athlete, but he can't seem to remember not to fall asleep on top of a Pop-Tart. That's something that mine did this weekend. He had Pop-Tarts coming too. Apparently he was snacking on one in bed and he didn't finish it. And so he left the other Pop-Tart in the cellophane, open, ripped. They never open properly. They're always just torn down the side. So it's loosely in the cellophane. Fell asleep, right? And at some point he turned over and the Pop-Tart slid under him. And I don't know, like a day later, I was like, what the hell happened to this sheet? It was a strawberry Pop-Tart. It looked like maybe a young woman had, her first period there. I didn't know what the hell happened. And he goes, oh, yeah, I fell asleep on top of a Pop-Tart, Dad. What are you doing? How do you do that?
Y'all are smart kids.
And you didn't even bother to like clean it up. Like you just crawled out of bed and he's like, yeah, now I got a Pop-Tart stain on my sheet. No big deal.
I'll just go on about my life for my dad to discover in free time. Not going to try and clean it or anything.
Or even tell anybody, because it was probably 24 hours later that I discovered it. You wouldn't even tell anybody. Just woke up with Pop-Tart stuck to him, and it was just a regular Saturday morning from there on out for him. He was just got a Pop-Tart stuck to me.
Hey, what do you think about a field trip for the show? I mean, this isn't just for show content only, but this would be good show content. What if you came out to Bug Tussle and we did some stupid hick stuff together? Just some, like, you want to cut down a tree? You need to cut down a tree. You never
cut down a tree.
Oh my God, you don't know what you're saying. You've never cut down a tree. Let me give you a chainsaw.
You want
to cut, and we'll go to the farm. My parents' farm. They got woods in the back. There's a bunch of trees. We can just go cut one down. It'll be great.
You want to try and jumpstart a car in 30 below zero weather? Does that sound like something? Yeah, right. That's about as much as I want to cut down a tree. Why do I want to cut down a tree? Well, for what purpose?
Because it weighs as much as a school bus, and you're making it fall over and go boom.
Yeah, no. You want to shovel a driveway? You want to shovel a driveway after a foot of snow falls?
It's not even comparable. This is like fireworks. This is boom.
No, cut down.
You not like fireworks either? You not like stuff that blows up?
No, you know what I like? I like pretty fireworks. I like to sit there on a lawn chair and go, that's a good one, and then judge them individually as we are all want to do. But I don't like to set them off. That's never been my thing.
Okay, I want to send you. Oh, it's your turn to do a story. Do a story.
I just got stuff. Oh, you know what I do want to mention now? Oh, we can run through this. Okay. My microphone sounds funny. Does it sound funny to you, or is it just me?
No, when you move it, it makes a rattle sound like you need to.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I'm talking about like is it too tinny, or does it sound? No, okay, good. That's because for some reason to me it sounds a little bit. Might be my headphones. That's okay. So James, the other day I was telling a story. And I don't know if this was on. Now, people know me. I got stories. I got a million stories, man. I've done some things in my life. I've been a fly on the wall in some situations. So the other day I said, one day I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book about all of these stories, right? All the stories. These are all stories that I've, sort of, just kind of gone into over the year. I've told them all on the air, at least most of them. And so I sort of started to write them all down just as like chapters in a book of like crazy stories from my past. Okay.
Good.
So I wanted to give you some of these I think we're about to get knocked offline.
Yeah. You froze. You hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you, but your video. Oh, you came back. Look at that. Am I back?
Let's go away in a second again. Oops. Seems like one of your connections have been lost. Am I on?
I'm on.
You're on. I'm on. I'm good.
I want to hear the stories. Do the stories list. Right. We're good.
So here are the list of stories that I will be drawing from. Okay. Let me see here. Let me just get to my stories. I created an entire Google file for these stories because each story will be a chapter, I think. Oh, damn it. I apologize.
Your Google file is now hung up?
No, I accidentally X'd out of it. I started closing windows when I saw that we were having some connection issues. I don't know. I started to panic behind the scenes. Here we go. Okay, we got it up here now. Okay, so here are just some of the stories that I have. I have my spending a night in an Icelandic brothel with the Russian mob story. I think that one's got some. That was a night.
Is that when you met Denise Richards too?
No, not Denise. Was it Denise Richards? No, it was the chick from American Pie. What's her name?
Yeah, Nadia, the one that played Nadia. Shannon Elizabeth.
Shannon Elizabeth. Yeah, she wasn't with us. This was me and another DJ in a bunch of Amstel Light models. They were taking us out on a night in Reykjavik, and we ended up at some like after hours place, and it turned out to be a brothel, and it was run by the Russian mob. And me and Mickey from Baltimore, he was a rock jock from Baltimore. Me and Mickey from Baltimore sat at the table and drank with the Russian mob all night. Okay, that's one story.
Oh.
Drinking with David Beckham and the guys from the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Right.
Have I told you that story?
You were in Ireland, right?
Yeah. 1997. Yeah. Getting beat up by Tom Waddle and Boston Bruins legend Lyndon Byers. I ever told you that story? You know who Lindy Byers is? You're probably too young to know. He was a bruiser in the NHL back in the 80s, and he beat me up. He threw me down a flight of steps in Boston.
I don't know if I know this story then.
Yeah, I don't need to go into it. Getting banned for life from Graceland. That's a story. Yep. That's a story. That's a big one. That's got some details. I've told that one. How about the time I got lost in a Mexican jungle with a pedophile?
Oh, my goodness.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Yeah, you do. I've told it. The pedophile's new. It's a new addition to the story.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
It used to just be the time me and Chloe got lost in a Mexican jungle. But now it's the time I got lost in a Mexican jungle with a pedophile.
Now it's like, hey, we used to know this pedophile that always get on stage, play Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah, I don't think. The time I got beat up by NHL legend Keith Magnuson. That's right. I've been beat up by 2 hockey players. Keith Magnuson. The 85 Bears trying to buy prostitutes story that I witnessed with my own eyes that I'm perfectly comfortable telling and naming names. Yeah, I saw that. I saw some stuff. The Cure in a beef with Duran Duran backstage at a concert. I've seen that one. That's another story from my book. The night at the Comedy Cellar in New York with Colin Quinn, Patrice O'Neill, Jim Norton, Nick DiPaolo, Opie, Jim Florentine, Tony Rock, and my former partner, Kelly. That was a crazy night. There was a time that I challenged an entire Irish rugby team to a fist fight. Bert Kreischer plays a featuring role in that story. Bert Kreischer is who instigated me in a fight with an entire Irish rugby team. How about, there's a wild night at a U.S. military base in England. The time I challenged an entire fraternity to a fight, that was me and a guy named Jim Newtoff. I pissed next to Slash. That's a nice little story. Kim Kardashian explaining the difference between red and green salsa to me and Stuart Copeland in a buffet line backstage at the Grammys. That's one of my all-time best dining out stories. How me and Kim Kardashian became good friends.
Pretty much best friends.
The time I beat up Puck from The Real World. Did you know who Puck from The Real World is?
Yeah, the real skinny, dorky guy.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I put his head through a radio studio. I didn't break the window, but I smashed it so hard my host thought that I broke the window. Nobody called the police back then. It was Chicago, shock radio in the 90s. People got into a fight. We got into a fight. He was a dick. And, seriously, I ragdolled him. Anyway, that's the story for the book. I got into a fight with Tanya Harding. That's a good story. I can tell that story. That could make the book.
A fist fight.
No, not a fist fight. No, but we were yelling words at each other, and I was taunting her ringside. And now I feel really bad about that. After I saw the movie I, Tonya, I started to feel like, man, that girl never had a chance. She didn't need me. She didn't need me being just adding on to the dickishness.
Yeah, James, write a song. Yeah.
And then the last story for the book will be probably the one that might be burying the lead here, how I was abducted by aliens. I'm telling you, all of these will be fascinating, scintillating chapters in the book that I finally write. So those are my stories. And as I remember more, I'll add them. But
okay. Are you asking me for a similar list of stories? Because I don't have one prepared.
No, that's the whole point. I think I'm very Forrest Gumpian. I think that I have seen some things that the average person hasn't seen. So no, look, if you could provide a list that's just as weird and just as completely rando as that one, man, awesome. I think that's great. But I think that I have lived very, very much like Forrest Gump. Like I've seen some shit. I've seen some shit that would make good books. It's just they're all so random and chaotic. You know,
so
they just have to be
to a coherent book. Is there a common thread between these that you're going to try and weave it all to one big tie it together moment at the end.
No, you know what? That's a good thing to work on. We'll see how that plays out because, James, I don't know if you know this, but a novel, and this is not a novel, this would be nonfiction, but, a book, when you're writing, it becomes a living, breathing thing. We'll see if any of those threads, any of those common threads between stories become available, and then we'll see. But as it is right now, just a bunch of stories.
In the new chapter of the Pugsian memoirs, it'll be the rise of the freak and how that's all. Man, social media is really brutal. Like, I can't believe people have such strong opinions.
Well, there's there's quite a P1 freak standoff going on right now. The ticket people are not happy. The ticket fans are not happy. It's getting ugly.
Well, if you're a ticket fan, you were a Reiner. You were probably a Reiner fan. You don't stop being a Reiner fan just because he goes to another station.
You wouldn't think, but it seems like people are. People, see this as loyal. They're loyal to the brand that Cumulus owns. They think they're loyal to the personalities that they listen to on their ride in to and from work every day, but they're not because apparently
Cole Beasley goes and plays for the Bills. I wish him the best. I hope he catches 1,000 yards. What I don't understand why
you're a normal person. I'm not describing normal people.
Yeah. Okay. So good. So what I'm observing is not normal, and so I see this. I'm like, why do y'all even care? Why do y'all? Do you know if the night manager of McDonald's went across the street to Arby's? I mean, do you?
No, but the connection's not there. That's apples and oranges, and you know that. You're being disingenuous.
I know
there's an attachment to the people you listen to when you're trapped in your car every day. When you think about it,
attached to them when they go to another station, you can just be attached on a different frequency.
Yeah, but now you're asking them to do something. You're asking them to do something different, and people do not like change. Never, ever, ever do they like change. They don't want the voice that they've listened to for the past 15 years on their car ride home to suddenly be somewhere else. They got to get in their car. They got, what is that new station again? That's all it is. It is a minor inconvenience. You and I know this. It is a minor inconvenience, but humanity doesn't do minor inconveniences very well. They don't take it well, so that's where we are. And of course, I love the ticket. I am a massive ticket fan. I also happen to have a show on the Freak. I think what they're doing over on the Freak is great too. And look, as someone who had a show, I appreciate loyalty among listeners, right? We sort of gin that up to a degree when we're on the show. Man, that other show sucks. That's been sort of a tactic. But the reality is that there's no malice. These are like football players, as James said, who just took a better deal somewhere else. It shouldn't be any skin off your back other than you got to now go to a different radio station.
But my comparison with the McDonald's and Arby's is this isn't a morality play, and there's no loyalty when it comes to your career or your paycheck. I don't want to say there's no loyalty, but you don't expect the guy to pass up a paycheck or pass up a different opportunity or pass up this new project or this new format just because he used to be on another station.
No, it's silly. It's ridiculous. And look, all it means is that there's more of the same kind of content. If you like the content that you've heard all these years on the ticket, now there's another station in town that does the same kind of thing. You should be encouraging that because that's better. That's more choice for you. Now when the ticket's in a commercial break or they're talking about, I don't know, something that you don't like, you've got somewhere else that you can go, possibly hear familiar voices and get the same sort of content. This isn't a bad thing. But people are tribal and they don't like different things. And so you've got a lot of people who are like, I'm going to pay well for life, this new state. And they hate everybody who they used to love now because they're simply on a different radio station. It's just crazy.
But before they were a P1, they did something else. And the ticket came along and they adapted just fine. Don't they know that they're going to adapt to this new world that they're living in? They might even like it better. Hell, they'll probably be tribal to the Freak in about a year or two, just like they're tribal to the ticket now.
Yeah, the problem with radio, though, is they're not making any new listeners, all right? There aren't any new consumers to radio. We're pretty much working on the same group of people, mostly men, 40 plus. That's who radio is interested in. Although I think they're actually widening that to men and women now. I think it's changed. We've come off the solely a male-focused medium like radio was, which is good. But like they're not really trying to get 15-year-olds to listen to the radio. And that's because 15-year-olds ain't ever going to listen to the radio. My 13-year-old doesn't even know what the radio is. It's
Right. Well, look, whichever way they get the content, whether it's over a radio feed or a podcast or this stream or the iHeartRadio app or whatever it is, the spoken word is something that's not going to be easily duplicated. Like someone could put together a Pandora playlist to knock out a music station. So I think that if these radio stations want to give themselves a little more longevity, a talk format's the way to go.
local talk. They knew that talk radio sells better. You can make more money in radio if you have people who are doing talk than a guy just playing music. You make more money, you make more advertisers, all that stuff. And for about 20 years, radio went, well, you know what? We can save money on the talent by just putting the same guy in 200 markets. And that's what Talk sort of got greedy and destroyed itself. What it needs to do to save radio now is move back to local shows. Instead of having one guy in one station in Atlanta or wherever and putting him on 500 stations, have 500 different voices in those 500 different markets speaking to those 500 communities. Now, that's going to mean that guys in radio don't make $6 million a year anywhere. Well, so what? So what? They can make as much as a semi-successful dentist, right? That's enough. If you're the morning guy in a decent-sized city, you don't need to make as much as the guy who owns 15 car dealerships the way it was in the 90s. But you could be a successful dentist, pay grade, right? Somewhere in there. Maybe a nice little attorney with his own law firm. That's not asking too much.
Yeah, I just don't see I don't see how music survives much in the future on a radio signal, but there is a need for like this conscious stream that is going with live content being constantly produced. That's why CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, whatever that format, that live news format, that's never going to go away and just be replaced by, hey, here's some videos that we've released and you go watch at your own leisure, because it's happening now, right now.
Yeah, it's like radio and spoken word radio, talk radio provides almost like a live in the moment narration of the world. It's live. It's not like a podcast where it's got to be pre-produced and then uploaded. I mean, what's happening is happening, and it's probably the last I mean, other than streams, I guess, right? But even streams are on delays to some degree, and I don't know.
Well. Also, when you describe it to your kids who didn't grow up with radio and they have to be taught what it is, there are some features in there that we don't think about because, we think about the downsides, like it's just a one-way medium, you can't really talk back or control it. You can't skip or go forward and backwards. But from like my kid's point of view, like here's the signal that's coming out to where it doesn't use up any bandwidth. You don't have to be connected to the Wi-Fi. You don't have to have a cell phone. You don't have to have a cell phone plan because there's a lot of cell phones that are just floating around there that aren't on plans, and they'll work if you're near a Wi-Fi, but it's not portable. Radio is portable. Once you get a radio signal, if you get like this little radio thing, you can basically go anywhere. And there's these companies that just shoot out. There's about 20 or 30 signals that they just shoot out for free that you can just scan around and pick up. And so for them, it's a one-way audio feed is what it is. But the advantages are no bandwidth, no subscription. There's no need to have a cell plan or be near a cell tower.
Well, I think the other advantage that terrestrial radio has is that it can be hyper specific to a community because its means of distribution is limited by its signal strength. So instead of being a podcast or something on the internet that isn't specifically targeted to a community, people make streams to go everywhere. I mean, you're forced in local radio because of the limits of your signal to focus on your community. So you can be more tribal. You can be more about our immediate community. That's a real advantage that live talk radio has.
So if you were doing your show and it was national as opposed to Dallas, what would you do different?
What, like my daytime show, the noon show?
I mean, like mansplaining.
Oh, well, mansplaining is designed to be a national show. So it's, that's just designed to talk to people and just react to what people are thinking. But I have some ideas for what a local modern talk show should sound like. Absolutely.
Yeah, I like all that. And if we get another show, we have to start a band.
A band. All right.
I've been on probably like 8 different shows at this point.
It's very 90s. It's a very 90s thing to be in a radio show and have a band.
Well, I've done a few of them, but what would you do? What would you do if we're in the band?
I'd go to all your shows. That's what I'd do. What do you mean? What would I do? I don't play an instrument. I wouldn't do anything. I could sing. I used to sing in an AC/DC cover band. I can do that.
Let's teach you an instrument.
No, I don't want to. James, would you stop it? Would you stop? Look, you married me as I am. Stop trying to turn me into the perfect radio partner. Stop it. What's the matter with you?
Because it would be a fun bit for the people that are watching now to watch you go from a guy who can't play an instrument to a guy who can.
They'll just see a guy go from someone who doesn't care if he can or cannot play an instrument to a guy who doesn't care if he can or cannot play an instrument who can. That's all. That's what they're going to see. I don't want to do that. That's a dumb bit. Stupid idea. Boy, that's something I never do. I never shoot down a creative ideas. I'm never bad with ideas, but that idea I don't want to do. You can be in a band. You can have your band, and we can talk about it on the show. And I'll go to all of them, and I'll introduce you and stuff. But I don't need to be in the band.
You don't want to do anything. Jennifer's right. You don't want to cut down trees. You don't want to learn an instrument. What do you want to do?
Ooh, what do I want to do? That is very, very interesting. I want to start a Dungeons and Dragons club. That's what I want to do. I want to start playing Dungeons and Dragons at a competitive level because I used to be good at it as a kid, and I see that it's becoming a thing again. And I'm like, I wonder if the fact that I was really good at Dungeons and Dragons at 12, I wonder if that'll translate to me being really good at Dungeons and Dragons at this age. That's what I want to do.
Trying to never get laid again.
I don't really care about that. That's not a goal. That's not something that I even, think about.
All right, because when I was growing up, I had 3 years of piano lessons, and so I stuck with it, and I can play still. But when I got into college age, you would go to parties, hanging out by the campfire or whatever, and the guy that had the acoustic guitar was getting all the chicks, and I was like, "Hey, I can play an instrument too," and they're like, "What, piano?" And they're like, "Well, I don't see a piano, so we're not friends." So I literally learned acoustic guitar just because I was sick of these nerds stealing chicks from me at parties. And it worked. Yeah, as dumb and shallow of a reason as it was to pursue it, it actually worked.
That's a legit reason. Yeah, if you need that.
I've made most of my important decisions were based on.
Yeah.
And it's worked out great for me, by the way.
All right. Very good.
Pugs, you ran away from this decision that would make you more attractive to hot chicks, and then you ran toward Dungeons and Dragons, which makes you more repulsive.
Yeah, no, that was like 12 years old. That Dungeons and Dragons was probably between like 10 and like 14, 15. But then by the time I got into high school, that was all behind us. That was like a 7th and 8th grade, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade kind of deal.
But you're going to go back to it now?
Yeah, now as a grown-up. Are you kidding me? There's like professional Dungeons and Dragons leagues popping up. It's like becoming a real thing. Like people from all around the world playing in these cyber tournaments. Oh, come on, man. I was a demigod. That's how good I was. I attained the rank of demigod. And by the way, just all my friends back then will tell you there was never a better dungeon master than me. I was such a flamboyant and fun dungeon master. My homemade dungeons were so good. Do you even know? Have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons? Do you know? You don't know what any of this stuff is.
No, I like girls.
Hey! Look at me, you handsome Frankenstein. Look at me. I did fine. Okay, so don't play that fucking game. No, I did fine. You ask anybody. And I enjoy Dungeons and Dragons. You know why? Because I'm an authentic dude. I'm an authentic guy. What you see is what you get. You don't get any of these.
Hey, I saw you do fantastic, and I never saw you play Dungeons and Dragons. I don't think those Venn diagrams overlap.
Yeah, they do. They really do. All right. What do you got? You got anything? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, it's your turn, but I can go again if you're going to skip yourself.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. I don't want to skip myself. Let's see here. What did I have? Oh, man. This one sucks. Christine McVie died today. Make you cry? And make you upset at all?
No, not at all. I wouldn't have known the name, except I saw Fleetwood Mac in like 2019.
Man,
in Vegas. It was really cool. I didn't know there was 2 chicks in that band.
See, that's what I said today. I go, people don't understand. First of all, Christine McVie was behind everybody because she played like a million different instruments. Stevie Nicks is the female that everybody sees because she's out front because she doesn't play anything. But Christine
McVie on a few songs, yeah,
she looks cute. But Christine McVie was cute too, like back in the 70s. But Christine McVie is behind a giant rack of synthesizers and all that. So, like, half of Fleetwood Mac songs are sung by a female voice. And I think that most people just assume that they're all Stevie Nicks, when in reality, the majority of them, especially the hits, are Christy McVie. Christy McVie was the voice of, like, Fleetwood Mac from 1975 to 80. I mean, Stevie Nicks had a couple of hits in there, but...
All right, well, look, first off, pardon my ignorance, because I know there's a lot of people watching going, you didn't know that, Parker? You're an idiot. Well, look, at least I can go on a microphone and not pretend like I know everything. I did not know that there was even 2 women in Fleetwood Mac until I saw them live in 2019. And I did not know that other voice wasn't Stevie Nicks on so many of these other songs that I had been hearing for my entire life. And so I had to look up some stuff on my phone while I was there. And you're like, if you're wondering why are you at a Fleetwood Mac concert and you don't know jack about them, it was like one of those iHeartRadio music festivals where, yeah.
All right. One of the major Fleetwood Mac hits right here. I'll fast forward. There. Now, do you know this song, or do you know it because you saw them in 2019? Or do you not know it?
I don't think I know it right now.
Oh my God. All right, wait, the chorus is coming. Let me know if you know it by the chorus. You'll know it by the chorus. It's like an all-timer 70s music chorus. Here it comes. Here. Yeah, right? So you know this one.
Definitely know this. Okay.
All right. Let's see, what is this? Let's see if fast forward a little bit to this. I don't know what that is. How about this one? All right, here you go. Anything?
Yeah, I definitely know this song. No, look, dude, once I saw it with my eyes, she has a voice that is obviously distinct from Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
I did not know. I don't know, but they didn't have a bunch of videos that I saw growing up, I guess. I did not know.
Well, and I don't think you're. I think a lot of people feel that same way because Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham were not. I mean, they were like add-ons. They were spare parts to Fleetwood Mac. Fleetwood Mac were a band. Bob Welch was in Fleetwood Mac. Not that you'd know who that is either, but.
Nope. But Mick Fleetwood, dude, he comes out there and I didn't know what these people look like. So he comes out there looking like Father Time. Like he didn't look old. He looked like 100. And so he's all hunchback and he barely creeps up. You know, it's like the beginning of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And then when he gets on the drums, all of a sudden he looks like he's 20. He just didn't matter. And then when it was time for him to get off the drums, it took him like 5 minutes to get to the side stage. I think his back was hurting or something, but
this is not Christy McVie. This is actually Stevie Nicks. I don't know. I can never do this on the fly. I can never find. All I want is a Fleetwood Mac playlist. That's all. Anyway,
you got a premium account, okay? You can't just.
I have a premium account, but I just don't know what I'm doing here. All right. Anyway, the reason for this is Stevie Nicks has put out a tweet earlier today. And oh my God, James, who's cutting onions around here? It is just one of those. It's just you read this tweet that she put out, this little message
Well, is this something I need context for? Because this looks like one of those bands where at some point everyone slept with everybody.
Yeah, they did. Oh, yeah. She was with John McVie. Christine McVie was married to John McVie, who was the bass player, and Mick Fleetwood was with Stevie Nicks, and Lindsey Buckingham, of course, was with Stevie Nicks. They were all sleeping with each other. The rumor, dude, you need to know your Fleetwood Mac history. The Rumors album is all about that nonsense. It was the biggest rock album of all time when it was released and held on to it for a number of years. But it was all about how they were all sleeping with each other, how they're all like betraying one another sexually and crazy. Anyway, here's what Stevie Nicks wrote. And this is kind of beautiful. A few hours ago, I was told that my best friend in the entire world since the first day of 1975 has passed away. I didn't even know she was ill until late Saturday night. I wanted to be in London. I wanted to get to London, but we were told to wait.
Wait, they're from London?
Half of Fleetwood Mac is from England and half is from America. Like Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham, who are the add-ons, they're from America, but Mick Fleetwood, John McVie, and Christine McVie are English.
Why do you call them the add-ons?
Because they came at Fleetwood Mac was already an established band for a bunch of years. And then they just, and Buckingham Nicks were a solo act who had like a hit record. And then they just merged. The Buckingham Nicks group merged with Fleetwood Mac.
Weird.
Yeah. Well, Fleetwood Mac was like a prog rock, progressive, weird British blues band, and they wanted to be more poppy. And Mick Fleetwood said, we need to add this Buckingham Nicks and put them out front, and then we'll write a bunch of pop songs and we'll become Fleetwood Mac again. And that's what they did. So anyway, so here's the story. They met in 1975. I just learned that my best friend since the first day we met in 1975 has passed away. Again, this is Stevie Nicks writing about Christine McVie from earlier today. I didn't even know she was ill until late Saturday night. I wanted to be in London. I wanted to get to London, but we were told to wait. So since Saturday, one song has been swirling around in my head over and over and over. I thought I might possibly get to sing it to Christine, and so I'm singing it to her now. I always knew I would need these words one day. And then it goes on to say, she says, all right, so here's what she wrote to Christine McVie. I had a best friend, but she has come to pass, one I wish I could see now. You always remind me that memories will last. These arms reach out. You were there to protect me like a shield, long hair running with me through the field. Everywhere you've been with me all along. Why me? How did I get this? Hallelujah. Why me? How did I get this? Hallelujah. Why me? How did I get this? Hallelujah. See you on the other side. My love, don't forget me, your best friend, Stevie. And she wrote a song. Now she's going to record a song about Christine McVie. Now we don't know what the music to those lyrics will be, but it'll be interesting to see. I think that's so sweet. That's two old ladies, best friends for like 50 years.
Yeah, you can't do that math, can you? What is that, 47 years?
75? 70, yeah, 25, 35, 45, 46, 47. They're very good. You did that. Did you do that on the fly like that?
Yes.
All right. That was a big shock today. I like Christine McVie. I love her voice. James, what else you got? Close us out. Take us home.
So I have a new strategy here for the lady that's debating my existence in the carpool line.
Oh, do tell.
For those of you who are not aware of my ongoing war, this monster, this demon seed in the carpool line. When I drop off my youngest kid at primary school, 3 cars at a time pull up, and there's 3 people that pull door handles, and the one in the middle always pulls my handle before I get the truck in park, and it unlocks. And she holds it, and when I put the truck in park, it doesn't unlock.
You guys can't get the timing down.
I don't know how many thousands of times she's done this, but she hasn't learned. Maybe she should have all the trucks memorized by now, because there's only like 40 people dropping off their kids in buck tussles. Shut up. I figured out what I'm doing, and I don't think this is gonna help, but it makes me feel better. If I see that piece of garbage lady grab my handle before I get it in park, I wait till she gets an inch from it, and then I scoot forward.
Just move a little forward.
And then she's stuck there, and then I can slam it in park, and it'll unlock on its own, and then she can grab it.
There you go.
And if she doesn't want to figure it out, she's getting pissed at me because she's caught me doing it like 4 times now. And if she remembers me and says something to her, I'm going to explain what the hell finally all this has been about. Because
This is also unnecessary. If you two kids would just communicate.
yeah, what do I say? Hey, lady, can you wait till I put it in park? Can you wait till I put it in park? Because it's automatically locked in the back until I put it in park. I'm not, what am I supposed to chew out a 2nd grade teacher?
Yeah, that's not a good look. It's not a good look for dad. You don't want to be the dick dad in the carpool lane, you know? You don't want to be the dick dad at the assembly. You don't want to be the dick dad at the sporting event. You don't want to be the dick dad in the carpool lane.
You look, y'all say this like it's like,
right.
hey, you should do the right thing. No, you don't understand. Y'all don't live in Buck Tussle. You have to do the right thing. You screw one thing up, all of a sudden you're my friend Jennifer, who's basically faces of meth from my high school, right?
Don't. How dare you?
Yeah, I had to have a text back and forth with her mom, who got on her Facebook account, like, this is her mom. She's like, and she gave me the what for. Not everyone's had a perfect life, and some people have had issues, but she's been clean for over a year.
Wait, when did this happen? This is new. Is this new? I didn't know about this.
This just happened yesterday.
Oh, wait, I thought Jen was our friend. I thought
Jen
we
is our friend, but Jen's in jail right now, so we can't
Oh,
communicate with her. But her mom got on her Facebook account, was answering some of her messages, and had a back and forth with me.
wait a second. What did Jen do now? What'd she do? Do we
Jen
know?
is being held falsely under false pretenses here. They've just set her up again with
Well, she was, for those of you who don't know, she came on with us a couple of weeks back and she told us about how she'd been railroaded. This is a girl that James went to high school with. And she has made the news locally down there in Bug Tussle, which is the region of Texas that James hails from. She's kind of, you know, she got busted at Walmart trying to steal a bunch of Ripple or whatever it is. And she's been a bit of a nuisance. And James was talking about her and he reconnected with her and he brought her on the show with us and we talked to her about, you know, her crazy life since James and her left high school. And she basically said that this is all not her fault and she's been set up and that she's a doctor, right? Doesn't she said she has a doctorate degree and that this is, you know, stopping her from her medical career. All right. So the update on her is that she's in jail again.
Yeah, she got arrested. I went to that Toadies concert and she got arrested the next Wednesday. So was that like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, because you sent me a picture of you and her at the Toadies concert.
Yeah.
Did you guys just run into each other or did you like ride together?
No, we did not ride together.
You did. Okay, good.
What I've known since I was 5. We were in kindergarten together. We played on the same soccer team when we were 6. You know, her parents know my parents, so I can't. You don't understand. You can't go around torching people when you live in a tiny town.
Well, wait, do we get an answer? What did she do again? What did she do that found her back in jail?
They're trying to say Pugs. They probably planted it on her, but she was in possession again, and she was trying to evade arrest, and arson was on there again. So
well, that's not the Jen Jolly I know.
No, because none of the felony charges have ever stuck before. So I'm having a hard time believing that this time they got her. I don't know. You know, this is all allegedly, reportedly, whether she's guilty or innocent. But man, that's a lot of arrests for an innocent person. And arson's a weird one. You can't really make that one up, can you?
Hard to make it stick if there ain't a shred of truth to it, right? You would think. I mean,
and I'm a guy who just doesn't inherently trust cops. I'm a libertarian, so I think half the stuff she's charged with should be legal anyway. So this is it's horrible to watch a family friend go through this, and then her mom. I feel so bad for her parents. I knew them growing up. They're not bad people. They're not crazy. They're not druggies, and they go to work. They pay their taxes. They stayed out of trouble. But just to remind you what a horrible sympathetic situation these people are in is her younger brother. He was in the grade below us. He died, I believe he was in a car wreck or something like that when we were in our 20s. So it's probably about 20 years ago now. And so out of their 2 kids,
Do you think that may have had an effect on her?
Oh, huge. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, because look,
because you have backed up her bona fides that she had good grades in school. She was a good girl.
Oh yeah, she was an honor student and a cheerleader. She was Lila Garrity. She kind of looked like Lila Garrity back in the day. And when there was like homecoming queen nominee, she was one of the people on the ballot. She didn't win, but she was in the upper tier. She was higher up the hierarchy than I was.
So you went to a high school where a girl who looked like Lila Garrity, aka Minka Kelly, didn't win homecoming. Jesus, how hot were the girls in your high school?
There were 4 girls hotter than her.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Is she aware of her ranking? Does she know?
Yes.
There's
we're
4
all aware of our ranking.
You're all aware. Okay. All right, I got nothing else. I want to get out of here. Hey, you know what I'm going to get out of here and do? Do you know what new show I'm watching? Oh, and I waited till there was like 3 episodes of it before I jumped in. Excuse me.
What you're watching, and I'll tell you what I'm watching.
All right. So the new Taylor Sheridan show. Taylor Sheridan, who is, of course, Yellowstone.
Is that Sons of Anarchy?
No. Taylor Sheridan was in Sons of Anarchy. Yeah, he played Sheriff Hale in Sons of Anarchy, but he doesn't act anymore. Now he just creates Yellowstone and the entire industry that is sprouted up around Yellowstone. 1883. And now his new show on Paramount, which debuted 3 weeks ago. There are now 3 episodes up. So I started to watch it because I didn't want to be in a position where I liked the show and then I got to wait another week to see a second. So I wanted to wait till there was at least 3 episodes. I could binge 3 episodes. That means I really like the show. Well, I started to watch it last night. James, it's pretty good. I got to tell you that I'm giving a big thumbs up to Taylor Sheridan's new show, Tulsa King, starring Sylvester Stallone. It is awesome. It is. Do you know the premise?
I do not. So what's Tulsa King about?
Okay, Tulsa King is Sylvester Stallone plays an East Coast mob capo who does 25 years in an East Coast prison for some mob-related activities. He's a capo in one of the 5 families. When he gets out of prison, after keeping his mouth shut for 25 years, they don't have anything for him. Like he's expecting to get paid off, because that's typically what happens when you keep your mouth shut and you go to jail for the boss. And he did. He took the bit for the boss. He was expecting this big payoff. He gets out of prison. He doesn't get a big payoff, but they say, look, we're opening up a new territory and we want you to move there. We want you to run it. You're going to be the guy that is going to run. You're going to introduce 5 family style mob activity to Tulsa, Oklahoma. So it's Sylvester Stallone, who is basically playing this like a Sopranos character, has been dropped into the middle of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he's setting up a crew. He is setting up a family.
Oh, and it's great.
And he's using a bunch of Okies. What's that?
What year is this supposed to be?
It's modern times because that's part of the running joke because he's been in prison for 25 years and he doesn't know what cell phones are.
Or YouTube or any of that. Right?
He doesn't know what any of that stuff is.
That's great.
It's enjoyable and it's of a pedigree of Taylor Sheridan. So it's got good dialogue and it's violent. It's not quite as rural as Yellowstone is. It's more about an East Coast mob family.
Tulsa's a city.
Yeah, it is. Yes. And that's sort of what they're trying to say. And that's, I read, because I liked the first episode so much that I read an article with Taylor Sheridan about it. And he wanted to show that just because you're from rural America, it's not like cities and it's not like Tulsa doesn't have a downtown. It's not like Tulsa doesn't, you know what I mean? Like they're rural, there are big cities and there are urban environments even within rural America. And he wanted to sort of depict that because he doesn't think it's ever been depicted before. Pretty good. Tulsa King. It's on the Paramount Network. I've only seen 1 episode, but I really liked it. Would have watched the 2nd episode, but I had to go to sleep. James, what are you watching?
That has to be good. I am watching Obi-Wan Kenobi. And as a Star Trek fan, I am very pleased with this because this is a series, sort of a make or break, whether they're going to go just that cringe child series franchise or if they're going to say try and retain the core fandom that brought it this far. And this is so good. This is keeping up with the story. This is filling in the gap between episode 3 and episode 4. You're seeing Leia as a kid. You're seeing Luke as a kid. You're seeing Obi-Wan Kenobi in that sort of middle age where he's not the
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh man, it's and Darth Vader's in it, and Hayden Christensen's in it, and you find out like all kinds of cool things. Like some of the younglings survived, and now they're out there, and some of them have turned to the dark side, and some of them I like that.
Oh, so the little Jedis in training that were all supposedly slaughtered, some of them survived?
Well, some of them survived and turned to the dark side. Some of them, some Jedis got away, and this show starts a little bit after. It looks like about 7 or 8, probably 10 years after episode 3 wrapped up, and they did Order 66, which is kill all the Jedi, and they're about done wiping them out. There's only a few Jedi left.
All right.
And so right now it's a furious hunt to catch Obi-Wan. So they kidnap Leia when she's a 10-year-old, and so he's got to go rescue her. Man, it's great. And as a Star Wars nerd, which I am, you can go ahead and make fun of me. I already got laid today, so nah. It's great. It's great. It's not a letdown. Some of these, like episode 1 was a letdown. Rogue One was great, but Han Solo was so you never know. But this is good. Thumbs up from me.
I thought Solo was great. I loved Solo. I thought that was a fun. It was different. It was out of canon. It wasn't the same vibe. It was more of
canon. But Rogue One was great, so I know they can do it, even though they screwed some of this stuff up.
Yeah, I mean, it's in canon, but it's out of tone. It's out of tone with the other. Like there was a tone.
Episode 1 was out of tone. Episode 1 was a kid's movie.
Yeah.
Florida Stories podcast. Get the Florida Stories podcast. It's doing good. I would like for it to do better.
To answer Jeff says about Tulsa King, the new Sylvester Stallone show on Paramount. Says it's not not such a comedy like Lilyhammer. No, it's not a comedy, but it's funny. It's funny. It's like The Sopranos wasn't a comedy, but it was funny. You know what I mean? Like there was funny stuff in The Sopranos. That's the same vibe as Tulsa King.
And a little known fact about Tulsa. So I lived in Oklahoma for a year. Tulsa backwards is a slut.
Look at that. All right. Jeff says, Pugs, I'm halfway through season 2 of The Crown, and it's making me hate the Queen in the family even more. Season 2, that's Claire Foy. That's Claire Foy as the Queen. But I did not hate her as the Queen, and I didn't hate the Queen back then as a young woman. I thought she was overwhelmed. Thought she held it together well. I mean, I hate those people are all clowns, but I don't know. I enjoy the series. I don't hate the Queen. Do I hate the Queen? I don't think I hated the Queen, man. I mean, I'm through all the seasons of The Crown. I don't think I hated the Queen. I don't. I think I kind of dug the old bird. I think she's kind of cool. You know who I hate? I hate Charles. Charles is a douche. Who else is a douche? Prince Philip's kind of a douche. Young Prince Philip, definitely a douche. Older Prince Philip, not so much a douche. Middle-aged Prince Philip, total douche. Who else? I like Camilla, but if you're only on season 2, you didn't get to Camilla. I love Diana. Who doesn't love Diana? Oh, I could talk The Crown for hours. All right, guys, we're out of here. Join me tomorrow at noon for High Noon topics, trends, current events, all that stuff. Every Monday through Friday at noon, I go through it with you. See you then. Bye, everybody.